What is going on, Fan Clan? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Danny Phantom, and if this is your first time here, thank you so much for giving me this chance, for coming and checking me out, for hearing what I have to say. If you like what I have to say, please consider hitting that subscribe button down below, sharing this video with your friends, giving it thumbs ups, leaving a comment. I love the comments. The comments are awesome. Really appreciate them, guys. If you've been here before and you continue to come back to show your support, thank you so much. It means everything to me. I really appreciate it. I have some crazy goals for 2021. So every step we can get closer in 2020 is very beneficial and helpful on my way to my goal for 2021. So I'm sorry I didn't get a video out last night. Things were really crazy over the last 48 hours. I spent a good chunk of time with Papa Blastoise, getting everything ready for Vivid Voltage. We had about 125 cases come in already. We've got 75 more coming in tomorrow, I believe, and then another 50 coming in not too long after that. So getting everything ready, getting labels printed, getting everything processed, getting inventory processed. It's just been a crazy mess for the past 48 hours. We actually didn't open up that much Vivid Voltage product yet. I think we only opened up about 5 cases. And I know originally we were going to open up 15, and then we brought it down to we'll only open up 10 to stock the website with singles, and now it's gone down to I don't know if we'll open up much more, because we opened up 4 so far. We might open up another 1 or 2. We'll see. But we're still about 13 cards short from the master set. We did pull the Rainbow Pikachu VMAX, which is super cool. We've pulled all the gold cards except for Oranguru. We pulled the Galarian Obstagoon, but no Rainbow Rare Bay, no Rainbow Rare. There's a few Rainbow Rare trainers that we're missing. We're still missing 1 full art, which is the full art Zarude V. That one has seemed to elude us, but other than that, it's just been Rainbow Rares that we're pretty much missing, and then the 1 secret rare Oranguru. Pull rates have been kind of all over the place. I will make a video going over pull rates, kind of what to expect. Everything has been 2 amazing rares per box, except I had 1 case that there were 2 boxes in the case where I pulled 4 amazing rares in each box, and then 1 box in that case had 0 amazing rares. So every other box that we've opened has had 2, except for that 1 that had 0, and then those 2 that had 4 each. So it's been kind of crazy. Today I want to talk to you more about the business sense of things, because I got some questions last week about inventory and stock specifically, and wondering why I don't diversify them, break off into other TCGs like Dragon Ball Super or Yu-Gi-Oh or Magic the Gathering or whatever it might be. And to put it bluntly, I am a huge fan of sticking to my strengths. As what you may have seen from the thumbnail, I'm a firm believer in building off of your strengths, hiring towards your strengths, managing towards your strengths, and really just working at that. I believe that the reason I talk so much about this business in these videos and try and give you guys advice and how to learn from my failures and how to start out with your own business, finding distributorships, selling on TCG Player. It's because I believe this business is big enough for all of us to be successful. You just have to find your niche. You need to find that one area that you belong in, and that's what you work in. So whether it might be you're really good at claim sales. If you don't know what a claim sale, it's basically like you go on in a couple Facebook groups and you post, hey, I've got all these cards in the comment section down below. I'm going to take a picture of each card, put the price, type claim and post if you want that card. Or you could be really good at waffles, or you could be really good at auctions, or you could be really good at eBay, or you could be really good at Amazon, or you could be really good at social media in general. If you play off of your strengths, you could be very successful in this business, but it's really just playing off of your strengths. So when you think about Pokemon, there are so many different facets and so many different avenues that you could take. So you could focus on vintage, you could focus on strictly old school Nintendo cards, you could focus on sealed product, you could focus on just sealed blisters, or just booster packs, or just box breaks, or you could focus on singles, you could focus on competitive play, you could focus on bulk. There's just a lot of different areas that you can go down, and it's finding which one works for you, what you know the most, and then building off of that. So let me give you an example of what I'm talking about, because it took me a while to learn this, and I failed at this miserably. So if you go back on this channel right here, back a couple of years, there are old videos back from before a couple months ago when I started making content again. So I used to be an owner of a business, a part owner of a business called Dead Draw Gaming, and I went into that business about 5 years ago now with my friend Dan and my other friend Darren, and we had this idea of forming our own card store. So at the time I lived here in Wisconsin, and Dan and Darren lived in North Dakota. We met each other at a competitive event, at a regional event in Madison, Wisconsin, and we thought, hey, after a little bit of time, we talked about opening up our own card store. Eventually, things started going really well, and Darren and Dan moved from North Dakota over to Madison, Wisconsin. We actually started out with just competitive pricing, just working on that. We had a small competitive team that would write blog articles and competitive content for our website, and that's what we would focus on. Drawing people to our website to buy singles, and then selling a lot of stuff on Facebook just to try and get our name out there in the competitive atmosphere. But as things started growing and growing, we wanted to keep growing, so we kept pushing the envelope. So eventually we started a podcast, and our podcast was probably our best form of media. We actually went over 150 consecutive episodes, 150 weeks straight. That's almost 3 years straight that we went, never missing a week, where we would talk about just everything Pokemon, and it would be every Tuesday or Wednesday night for an hour and a half or so that we would just sit there and we would talk. And sometimes we would interview people, sometimes we would just talk about a lot of stuff competitive, a lot of new card leaks. Sometimes we would dabble in on like the VGC side of things. Sometimes we would dabble in on the collector market. It really just depended on what news was coming out for the week, because there was always new news when it came to Pokemon. And it was something that we really loved. But with that podcast, we started recording YouTube content. And that's what you would see if you went back and looked at a lot of our old videos. A lot of them are super cringeworthy, which I totally get. We had no idea what we were doing. We were just jumping in because a lot of other people jumped in. But the problem we struggled with was there was nothing that separated us. So card openings, even though we could partner up with some bigger YouTube channels, card openings weren't something that were new to the game. It was already something that was happening. So how could we make that unique? We had no idea. We tried recording and releasing our podcast. We tried doing our podcast live on YouTube. We tried various things with YouTube that just didn't work. Then we tried Twitch. We started recording, we started playing just video games on Twitch. We started playing PTCGO on Twitch. We started live streaming events, like regional events, and you can see some of those replays on our YouTube channel where we actually went to regional events and we were in charge of the stream, running the stream for that event. So we added that to our plate. Along with that, we had a competitive team. So we started out with a small competitive team, and then it grew into probably the most successful competitive team that Pokemon will ever see. We had for 1 year, we were pretty much winning every single regional that was happening. We called ourselves Team DDG. There was a hashtag that was going around on Twitter called DDG Win. Every single regional event, there was somebody from our team who took home the top prize, and it was very prestigious. It was great, but it took up a lot of time, and all of these things took us away from what we were trying to accomplish, and that was being able to provide the best product at the best price for competitive players. So as we continued to go to events, we started vending in these events. So we would have booths at some of these events, and we had our name out there in the competitive atmosphere quite a bit. So our booth was very, very popular at these events. But when we got home from these events and we turned back on the website, it was crickets. There was not a whole lot of action to the website. So we started selling on TCG Player, just massive amounts on TCG Player, because then we wouldn't have to worry about advertising. And then we started taking in additional card game inventory. So we started dabbling in Yu-Gi-Oh! And Dragon Ball Super, and pretty hardcore into Magic the Gathering. The problem is that we were still just one person each. So one person that lived in here where I live, and then one person who lived in Stoughton, and that was Darren, and then one person who lived in Madison, which was Dan. So Dan would take care of like Yu-Gi-Oh! And Dragon Ball Super, and Darren would take care of Magic, and I would take care of Pokemon. But if somebody bought all 3 card games, we were in trouble because all those cards couldn't get shipped together. Not to mention the fact when it comes to learning all these other card games, it was very, very difficult. I am somebody who I have always considered myself interested in TCGs, but there is no way that I know anywhere nearly as much about Magic as I do about Pokemon, or as much about Yu-Gi-Oh! As I do about Pokemon. It just doesn't interest me. Pokemon, I love researching statistics, I like looking at trends, I like following waves. That's what drives me. But looking at those same things from Magic the Gathering standpoint or from Yu-Gi-Oh! Standpoint, it just doesn't get me super excited. Then it feels a lot more like work. Then I might as well go out and get a job. So I would rather start researching different ways that I can make my Pokemon business successful than research different ways that I can bring Yu-Gi-Oh! Into the mix. You can always make money, but time is something that is very, very difficult to make more of. So adding more card games into the mix that is going to tie up your hands more, your proverbial hands more as far as time goes, in my opinion, it's just not the best of ideas. Now, that's strictly my opinion, and if you're somebody who's looking at getting into the business and you have a lot of knowledge when it comes to other card games, by all means, I have been wrong before, and I will not tell you what to do. I will tell you that it is difficult to keep track of all that stuff. Like, it is difficult to have different levels of inventory. So whether it be 5-row boxes or different strategies that you use to organize cards, to be able to pull from different boxes and have everything organized perfectly, it's very difficult to do. Then you get new product in, you have to organize it back in your method. It's just kind of a nightmare to have to deal with. That's why I like sticking with one card game for now. Once we branch out and start hiring employees and start getting a better system in place where there's multiple chains where people can start focusing on additional card games, then it makes more sense. But if you're somebody who is just doing this from home and you're somebody who's looking to make an extra few $100s a month, that is why I recommend finding your strength, working at that. It might be eBay sales, it might be TCG Player, it might only be competitive cards on TCG Player. Whatever the case may be, perfect that before you start biting off an additional piece of the apple. It just doesn't make sense to do something else until you know exactly what you're doing with that first piece. Once you perfect that first piece, then you can start adding fuel onto the fire. Again, that's my 2 cents. You should do it however you're most comfortable with it. I'm just going off of mistakes that I've made in the past. Eventually, Dead Jaw Gaming just kind of fell apart. There was too much going on. We couldn't keep everything. We couldn't keep all the pots cooking at the same time. We were trying to get every pot boiling, and it just wasn't all working together. There wasn't the synergy there. Eventually, one of us kind of faded off, and then both of us, the last two, kind of broke apart earlier at the beginning of this year. And that happened a couple months before Papa and I started the Coliseum. And it's, I love those guys, they're great, but eventually the problem was that we just had too much going on, and that, in my opinion, is the main reason things didn't work out. So that was the mistake that we made. I think both of those guys would agree that those mistakes happened, and I think we're all better off right now because of what we've learned. So I'm just trying to share some of that advice in a very long-winded fashion now that this video is approaching 12 minutes long. I'm going to cut it, though, so that way you don't have to listen to me babble on and on again, because I do get a little wordy, I guess. So until tomorrow night, guys, I can't wait to see you all. I'm very, very excited for this Jungle Box break. You guys have a fantastic night. I can't wait until Vivid Voltage officially releases, so hopefully I can watch some videos of you guys opening cards and see what you pull. So until tomorrow, have a good night, guys. Bye!